I tell you.
Mm-hmm. If I were there just getting to know the people of Scotland, where would we go?
That's a hard one again, because like Phyllis came with a specific issue, so I knew the people to introduce her to. If you wanted to meet the people, then I would probably get you somebody else to take you around Scotland. You know?
This was somebody, a more standard tour guide, because we're trying to get beyond that, and this is more than just a tourist visit for you.
I would never have done that. I've never done it ever, and if circumstances just placed me and I went yes when I meant to say no. You know?
That's happened to all of us from time to time.
It's something I would never do, and I wouldn't do it again.
I got you, absolutely. You know? Tell us a little bit about the clan and your role as chieftain.
Well, there is a chief of the clan Wallace, but I'm a chieftain, which means I deal with a specific role within the clan system, and again it's based on the old law, you know, which means that there's no receipts and things like this, you know what I mean? If the chief needs something done, then I do it, or I've got 4 captains, they do it. But generally we look after the well-being of the clan of that name, but anyone at all comes under that bracket should they require our assistance or require us to do something to make their life better, then we do it.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. I mean, I wish we had that sort of system over here in this country. We'd enjoy it. Tell us a little bit about your traditional garb that you're wearing.
Well, this is the kind of stuff that we wore in Braveheart, but I mean, it was Braveheart just picked up on the original stuff that we did wear. So it was a kind of cycle thing, you know. And what I've got on at the moment, it's fluffy because Phyllis washed it. It's made for Harris tweed, which means that even the weave of this is made from the sheep that still live in the shores on the Western Isles, and the men and women who weave this. It's the oldest industry alive, still in existence today, that man has known to been, you know, taken part in. So they've been doing this for thousands of years. So for us to actually wear it and get it done for us means we're keeping employment. You know, and the dyes are all local, and this stuff here is more from a fighting. You know, this is fighting stuff. It's like Kevlar. It's soft, but you can get. It's very difficult to get through it. You know, so we do competition fighting with people from around the world, different fighting styles, just to maintain our discipline as to what we think. And we're the world champions, you know. So 4 years. And
tell us a little bit more about your work on Braveheart. It's a beautiful film.
Well, it was good. My cousin, my clan cousin, we're cousins, we call each other cousins, like, you know, Randall brought me a screenplay, and I read it, and he says, well, what do you think? But it's good when people ask me this, because I don't know, what do you think of the whole book? They think of they ask me what do I think in the parts that affect me, or would affect the clan, you know, and that's what Randall, Phyllis, Sean Connery, it's all the same thing. You know, when they professionally come to me and say, here, then I will react to that, and they have a choice then whether to write that into their screenplay or script. You know, it gives them the real choice. You know, so they've got a fictional scene, and I know the real thing, so somewhere in the middle lies the solution. So if Phyllis says to me, for example, if Phyllis said to me something, you know, the giant slapped the boy, well, then it comes to me and I'll go, right, slapped him. And I'll make it really brutally realistic, but because it's Phyllis that's the editor in that sense, she'll get back my response, and then her choice, same as Randall, is just to go, okay, somewhere in the middle lies the answer, and that's what I did with Randall, really. And then I've got fight crews, so also you know, if I'm a fight director, that's my active profession, so all the fight crews would attack that person with a hoover out there.
Yes, that's a wonderful way to work that vacuum noise into the script.
Yes. In case you thought it was bagpipes.
Yes, that's right. Nicely, but boy, you're quick on your feet. I can see why you've done so well in your career. What kind of justice did the movie Braveheart do to your country, to the clan? Is it a good film in your opinion?
Brilliant, because that's what it is. It's a film. It's not a documentary. You know, and maybe about a month after Braveheart was released, UK and worldwide, then the kind of wooden top historians come out for their 5 minutes of fame. You know, that's not true and this is not true. But generally it was true. You know, the thread of gold that went through the film that was telling the truth was right on the ball.
What could you point to as the most authentic scenes in the movie?
It's hard to point to an exact. Well, the one I like, which is pretty authentic as well, but there was one major change I put in the film was when they did the Irish and Scots fighting together. When they were making towards the Irish and the Scots coming together to fight, and they didn't. Well, the Scotland and Ireland are the only two neighbouring nations known in the world that's never declared war on each other. Everybody else, even America and Mexico, everybody's declared war on their neighbours except us, and that never happened. And when we were making Braveheart, it was a time of high murder in Ireland and Scotland with regards to the Irish problem. So I sat down and I went, people are going to be killed if you do this, if you write this in, because A, it's not true, and B, it will set off a chain reaction that will not be retrievable. And they listened to me.
Yeah, because the original script had them
fighting, the Irish and Scots, when they come together in that scene in Braveheart where they stop and they hide each other.
Yes. Well, in a guy way. If they hide each other.
But originally, Randall Wallace had them fighting until Shara saw it, and then that.
So to me, that's one of the most important authentic changes that was brought into the film. So if you asked me the question, what's the most important?
Absolutely, that's good. No.
Historically, that was correct. They didn't fight. They wouldn't fight. They refused to fight each other.
And Charles is great to work with this kind of thing. When he was talking about how he takes reality and then we take, as an author, I'll take the fiction part. Like, there were a couple fight scenes in Burned that I wrote what I wanted to happen, and then I gave it to Charis, and he he wrote what would actually happen if, like, two guys were going against each other with claymores. And then he gave it back to me, and it was a great way to weave in reality with fiction, because I had one scene in my head, and then he wrote what would really happen, and then I went back in and tweaked my scene to reflect more of reality. And I think that's the same kind of thing that he did for Randall Wallace.